Gentlemen, let's get down to business.
Can you dig it?
You dig it?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it, yeah.
Can you dig it?
Kicking off season 2 of the podcast here. And what better way to do it with somebody who is absolutely electric on the paddle court. We're thrilled to have Action Dan Hansen on. Dan is one of the most offensive players on the tour. He has more spin than a laundromat. Club players might recognize him for his appearances in Jerry Albright's 1-minute videos. Dan, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
And so let's dive back into that. Dan just got engaged over the weekend, was it? Or at
Yeah.
yeah.
Over the weekend on Saturday. Yeah.
Congratulations. And he is marrying into paddle royalty, apparently.
Yes. So my fiance is Olivia Ruda. She plays paddle national level. I think she was ranked as a team around in the 20s last year with her partner. Won a round or two at nationals, and she's a daughter of Jerry Albrights, who is the 2010 national champion in paddle tennis. So. It's fun to be on the court with her. I'm super excited to spend the rest of my life with her and have someone always there to play paddle with. It's
There you go.
and at a high level as well. So
you're telling us you're going to be coming after husband-wife nationals within the next few years, pretty much.
Well, there's some steep competition there.
For sure.
It'd be fun to play. But yeah, again, there's some real steep competition in husband-wife nationals. You got Florin, Martin, Sven, and Lynn, yeah. Russell,
the Morgans,
yeah, Russell and Izzy. So, definitely wouldn't be easy, but we'd play it. Oh yeah.
and Graham was in the finals this year.
Right. Yeah.
So has your fiance actually seen your spin yet firsthand on the other side of the court?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. She handles it better than some people. But it's tough.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So let's just kind of dive in a little bit. We try to do our research here, and I know there was a profile on you on the APTA site, and we might rehash some of those topics just to dive in a little bit more than just print interview. But you were a 3-time MVP, 3-time first team All-State selection, and a state finalist in singles in Rhode Island. I thought you were from Connecticut, but I went to Providence, so I'm fond of Rhode Island. Where'd you play high school tennis?
Yeah, funny. Okay, you guys really dove back. That's good. I grew up in Jamestown, Rhode Island. I went to high school at North Kingstown High School, played high school tennis there. Had a pretty good high school career, although it's a pretty small state. So it's, it sounds great, but, it's a small state in the country, so it's okay. But yeah, Jamestown's a small island in Rhode Island. It's close to Newport. It's an awesome place to grow up, and I played my tennis at the Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport. That's where I learned to play and, trained there, and I taught some tennis there also. But North Kingston High School. Never won the state tournament, but got close.
What I'm going to ask, just because you brought up Newport, do you like playing on grass? My club is one of the oldest grass tennis court clubs, and it's really the only way that I can play because it's a great equalizer for people that don't have racket skills. Do you like playing on grass, or are you more?
I do. Yeah. So I put a lot of spin on the paddle court, right? It translates a little bit from my tennis game also. I've got a serve that kind of has a lot of slice on it. so that kind of stays low and skids on the grass court. And I like volleying also, which is good for grass as well. So yeah, my game in tennis translates well on grass, and I grew up having access to it and playing on it a lot. Yeah, I mean, most of the time I was playing on hard court, but I definitely had more access to grass court than most people growing up. So yeah, I love playing on grass.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, One of the other things that you mentioned, which I think is interesting, given your move into paddle, is that even though you played singles in high school, there's an article where you actually mentioned you prefer doubles and the strategy that goes along with it than playing singles. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. That's funny. What's that article from?
Some Rhode Island paper.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. I don't remember that, but that's pretty insightful for me. Because in college I played a lot more doubles than singles. I was kind of in and out of the singles lineup, but I was always in the doubles lineup, and I had a successful doubles career in college. But yeah, I've always loved doubles. Like, even playing New England junior tennis, and USTA tennis, like, obviously there's a lot more singles out there. But I always loved playing doubles, and uh, you know, any doubles player is going to translate well into paddle from there. Um, so yeah, that
Um,
kind of
And
answers
then,
that.
and then let's let everyone know you went to Drexel, which is a fantastic school in Philadelphia. You are a Navy hydraulic systems engineer on submarines. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep, that is correct. So yeah, I went to Drexel, graduated. I did a 5-year co-op program, which is awesome. And then I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree and got a job at Electric Boat right out of college. Electric Boat is a company that builds submarines for the military. Um, and just specifically, what I was working on there is hydraulic systems.
Wow.
That translates well with a mechanical engineering degree. I just interviewed, got a job right out of college with them. Um, I was with them for 3 years, and then I transitioned to the government side. So I now work it's part of the Navy. It's called Supervisor of Shipbuilding. It's kind of like Navy on-site oversight at Electric Boat. And I do the same thing, basically kind of review and approve everything hydraulic systems related on submarines. So that's my day job. Um, Probably sounds cooler than it is, but it's it it's
I,
good.
I wouldn't be able to do it. What? So I do know. Don't they build subs in New London? Are you working at out of there?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. I grew up in Rhode Island, went to Philly for college, and then moved to Connecticut right after college, and
Okay.
that's where I'm based out of. Yeah, Groton, Connecticut is the submarine capital of the world. That's why I ended up where I am. And I live in Mystic, Connecticut now, which is part of Groton. Um, and yeah, that's the main shipyard is in Groton, Connecticut. My office is in New London, Connecticut, where I go every day. But yes, that's where I am, Mystic, Connecticut now.
So we can't really rule out the correlation between knowledge of mechanical hydraulics and cut spin on the paddle court.
Can't rule it out.
They go hand in hand.
That is so true, Luke. Um, and so was Jerry the one that introduced you to paddle? Who introduced you to paddle? How'd you get into
Yeah,
the game?
sure. So I moved to Mystic in 2016, August 2016. Yeah, graduated in 2016, moved here in a couple months after that. I was initially looking for guys to play tennis with, emailed people at the company. It's a massive company, like 18,000 employees, and there are a couple people that played, but not really at a high level. But they played paddle tennis. Uh, so the club that I'm at, it's a Stonington Como. It's a community center with 4 paddle courts. very accessible for everyone. So it's awesome for anyone trying to get into the sport near me. And so they kind of were like, "Hey, do you want to try paddle tennis?" And I was like, "Sure, let's try it." And I actually had heard of it and played it like maybe twice growing up. I spent a lot of time in Newport, Rhode Island, and they've got 3 courts at the Newport Country Club in Newport. And a guy that just used to play tennis at the Hall of Fame had taken me out there a couple times when I was like in high school and played twice probably. But then when I moved to Mystic, I was like, oh yeah, I want to play this. And I kind of picked up quickly relative to most people because I have a good tennis background. Um, and so pretty quickly I was like improving compared to everyone else at the club. And I just loved it from there. It's something I could improve at still. And I liked competing. So as just, it's fun to kind of play paddle like most nights when I moved to Connecticut when I didn't really know a lot of people outside of there. So
That's kind of a recurring theme, particularly with tennis players. They mentioned that the vibe and the culture is different than tennis, but also it's like a new hill to climb, right? Particularly for accomplished tennis players that played in college but may not have played professionally. Here's this new sport, right, for you to start kind of from the ground, albeit with advanced skills, and it's a new hill to climb, so to speak.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of exactly what it was. Yeah, just and like I'm not no matter what, I'm not gonna be able to play tennis like 30 hours a week, whatever I was doing in college. So I'm always gonna be getting worse at tennis. So that makes it less fun to play. And I'm like, I used to be better than this. So yeah, paddle is just you can improve on it. Actually, I did want to say like who got me into it. A guy at my club, Pete Harvey. He was a very good player, played a lot of tournaments, and then he was a little on the he's like around 60 maybe when I started playing, but he had a lot of knowledge of the game. He helps me out. And Jerry actually at this time when I moved to Connecticut wasn't living in Connecticut. He was in
South
South Carolina.
Carolina.
Yeah. And he moved back in August 2017 to Mystic. His wife's family is from Mystic, and they always want to be here, but I had that opportunity in South Carolina to coach down there for 7 years. So they moved back, and obviously him being a very accomplished paddle player and a national champion, played with him a lot and learned a lot from him as well. But yeah,
And then, I'll only mention it because I know one of the first professional tournaments I went to, it might have been the Montclair Open a couple years ago. I'm going to mispronounce their name. It's either Rajo or Rejo.
yes,
So
Rayho.
yeah, they're in the videos too. And I got to tell you, Dan, like I've been playing I keep saying this for 4 years, but I really dove into Jerry's videos because they were
Awesome.
just a resource for me, right? So that's how I know you. Obviously, before I watched you absolutely destroy JK in Boston a couple of years ago. He's gonna get. I saw him last night. He's gonna get mad at me for saying that. But sometimes I think is it Nick Rajo or Rejo? Is he in
Yeah,
the?
Rayho.
He's in the videos sometimes too. I think a couple of them.
Yeah, so he lives in Stonington, which is just the town over from me. And he was also instrumental in me, playing paddle and getting better at paddle also. I've got a yeah, and he coaches tennis in the area also. So he's, rackets pro,
Okay.
very good. Um, I've got a little bit of a story. Uh, to say about my first year playing paddle, and then I'll get more into Nick Rejo actually. But I I didn't really play any tournaments that first year. I think I played like an average Joe tournament and a B tournament, which is like you know average Joe and B, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't really see any high level paddle at all. And then a friend of mine signed up for nationals that year, and that was at a time when anyone could sign up for nationals, and so it would have been in Philly in 2017, and we actually won our first round, and then played Jared Palmer and Drew Broderick in the second round. And at this point, I didn't know what spin was on the paddle court. I was watching these guys, and I was completely fooled by Drew's spin. He was doing like the short cutter, and I'm chasing it and just going the complete wrong direction from it. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I was watching, all the top guys play at that point, and they all hit with a ton of spin. I'm like, wow, all right, I got to figure this out. Even though, everyone says, right, learn paddle, like, don't make mistakes. This is, you can't win points in paddle. Like, be the one that never misses, and you'll win a lot of paddle matches, right? And that is 100% true. And that is how I would recommend everyone to try to learn the game of paddle. But that's not how I went about it. And so, the next year, and Nick had played a couple years, but really kind of wanted to get in more into the scene and play odd tournaments. So the next year, 2017, 2018, kind of the first year that I played tournaments, I played them all with Nick Rejo, and we would just practice all the time, one-on-one, just like hitting cutter overheads to each other and trying to work each other over in the corner. And we just practice hitting like, spin overheads. And that was pretty much it. That's how I learned a lot, just kind of messing around, figuring it out, watching other people, how they do it. And then practicing so much with Nick, and we played tournaments that year, and we had such a good time playing together. So, yeah.
So, obviously being in Connecticut and having Jerry and Nick available helps to drill and whatnot. How do you guys drill cross court? How do you stay sharp without making the trek down to Westchester or Connecticut for summer league? How do you stay sharp on the court?
Yeah. Well, I will say I do make the trek down a decent amount to Fairfield County and Westchester. Maybe every other week or so. But yeah, you just drilling. I like to warm up, standard warm up, and then just overheads and lobs, like just drill it, get a feel for every type of overhead that I like to hit. That makes my offense sharp and then also my defense sharp. And I'll do that a lot with Jerry. And then we play a singles game as well. This is a good one. And I'll describe the game real quick. So, scoring just like paddle or singles, whatever. And you alternate side after each point, just like you would. However, you only play cross court. And you mark the out by the screens. So the back three screens, if you're going to do side, right? So the furthest left, second left, and the middle screen are in. It doesn't matter where the ball lands on the court. Like, we don't divide it by the line in the middle. It's just where the ball is going towards. And so, serve, you're going to serve and volley just like you would in paddle. They return cross court and start the point. And it's just played cross court. And, it really works on one, how to work the point and try to win just based on one person across the way, different kind of patterns of overheads that allow you to win the point, and then also allows you to defend and work on defending. And all right, what are all the different shots that I can see and learn how to defend them? And it's so much more efficient that way to kind of get better and see all those shots, because there's no time in between points. They're never picking on your partner; they're just picking on you, and you're just playing. That's pretty much it. So
simulate a doubles match with the singles, lineup.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
You get a lot of reps that way, right?
Yes, yeah, and it's about reps. You get a lot of reps, and I think that's one of the best ways to do it.
Especially for this game, right? Too, because I mean, like playing the screens, there's really nothing comparable, and really the only way to get better is with reps on that. And then makes sense that's the same way with overheads, because the overheads are unique to paddle as well. You don't really hit those arm angles or spins in any other racket sports. So it's obviously kind of what we've said, but it makes sense. I mean, even the best players in the world are just getting reps, and trying to get better off that.
Yeah. And even if you're not hitting with spin, right, like, you're figuring any way to kind of win the point off overheads and different overhead combinations. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've asked this, I think I asked it to Mark Powers. Not being a teaching pro, do you think this makes it harder for you at all? Easier because you're not on the court all day, exhausted? Like, have you ever thought about that? Like you're at, doing building submarines, like instead of being on a court all day. So have you ever thought about the difference between being a teaching pro and not?
Yeah, there's positives and negatives to it. Like, I love paddle, and I'm not going to get sick of it because I'm not on the court all day, all the time,
Yeah.
right? So, and then the alternative is, okay, maybe other teaching pros are on the court all day, or might kind of get out there more often, at least. Like, when you're teaching, it helps a little bit, but you're not kind of working on stuff, but you have a pad on your hand, and you got a ball in your hand.
Yeah.
But just being on the court all day, maybe like let's practice after this lesson or in between these lessons, whatever. So maybe they get out on the court more often, but maybe they also get sick of just like being on the court all day, and the last thing they want to do is practice after teaching 5-8 hours a day, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, positives and negatives. I do enjoy teaching. And I do teach a decent amount of paddle tennis. Like up here in Connecticut, I help Jerry out with clinics during the year, probably maybe like once a week. And then in September, for paddle camp season, I basically just take most of the month off and teach paddle from my job. So actually on Sunday, I'm leaving for Nantucket to teach paddle out there for 2 weeks or for Mike Gillespie. He runs a paddle camp out there, and then working on a couple paddle camps, one in Stonington that I teach with Jerry at the end of the month in September, and then working on one in New Jersey also with Gonzalo Garcia Nieto. Remember that name? He's a very good player, and he's going to be a very good player.
He is. He played in I'm trying to remember, was he your partner in the Shoreline Classic?
He was, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I watched that match with Lucas and
Jason.
yeah, Jason. That was a good match.
Yeah.
He's super talented.
Yes, he is. He's just got natural skill and understanding the game, I think, and unbelievable hands and a very good backhand.
Is he a pro somewhere in New Jersey?
Yeah, actually, he just got a director position at Upper Ridgewood Country Racket Club. Upper Ridgewood Racket Club, I think that's what it is. Yeah, so he was a pro on Long Island at a club, and he just got that director position. I think he starts mid-September. So.
Oh wow, that's Ara of the Real Paddle Boys plays at Upper Ridgewood.
He does. Yes, I know that actually. Yep.
So you also have had I said this to Andre Iverson, and I know you guys partner. You've had a who's who of partners too. I mean, I think you mentioned in one of the articles I read, it's because you're a road warrior. You play as many tournaments as humanly possible.
Yeah. I think most years I might play more tournaments than almost anyone else. But also partly that also helps me stay sharp. It's harder for me to get matches throughout the week. I'll drill, but like I don't play as many matches, so when I play more tournaments, it helps me stay sharp, and that's good. But yeah, I play so many tournaments. Not a lot of people could play the same schedule as me, so just naturally I have to get different partners. And I always it's funny every year I kind of say, oh, I'm just gonna play like 2 tournaments a month, and then I kind of get FOMO, and I'm like, oh, I'll play that tournament. Yeah, I can play that tournament. So we'll see what happens this year, but that's my goal still. But yes, I play with a lot of different partners usually.
Do you exclusively play one side of the court, or like when you're with another lefty, are you switching in that, or depending on the partner, or where do you kind of see yourself?
I usually play the deuce side. I've got a good deuce side return of serve, so that's why I like to play the deuce side. I'm comfortable on either side completely, but I think I can generate more offense from the deuce side. But it also depends on the
The
opponent.
pairing. Oh, yeah.
If like sometimes we might switch in the backcourt if it makes sense. But at least returning, I'll pretty much always return on the deuce side. And it usually makes more sense that way.
Is that because it's harder for them to kind of jam you or get to your backhand if you're returning from the ad?
Yes, or well, actually, wait. If I'm returning from the ad, it's easier for them to get to my backhand.
Yeah, to go down the tee
They go down the tee, and then I could kind of sit there and wait for the forehand. But then I'm just, they could go side screen, and it's kind of I got to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
So I find it more difficult to, drive and hit a solid return off of every return from the ad side, where the deuce side, less so.
I wonder if that's why Drew plays he's noted for playing the deuce side, right?
Drew plays the ad side.
The ad side, okay.
Yeah. He's got a great backhand.
Yeah. Which normally a lefty wouldn't play the ad side, but he is, kind of an outlier in that.
Outlier.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because his backhand and many other things that he can do.
Yes.
What was it like playing with Andre as two lefties?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Andre is he's a great player, and he kind of has all the skill sets that I look for in a partner. He's got really good hands in the net. He's super steady from the backcourt. He can dig anything, and he's got a good drive off of both sides. Really, he likes his backhand better, I know. But he loves playing the ad side also because one of his favorite shots is like the lefty overhead out of the ad side corner. But he actually played the righty role very well, where he kind of sits on or like more on top of the net, and kind of let me hit overheads and do my thing. And not to say that I only like hitting overheads, but just kind of working with him. He has also has a very good lefty overhead. He jokes that when he plays with me, no one ever knows that because he never hits any overheads. But he does. He's got a very good lefty overhead as well. But as a team, like he also has that strength of just sitting on top of the net, and he's never going to miss a volley.
Yeah.
So us, combining it kind of made more sense to do it that way. But yeah, it was super fun playing with Andre, and he's fun to be with on the court. And that's something that's important in a partnership as well. Like you got to make sure you have fun with them and you get along. It doesn't matter if your skills line up perfectly. If it's not like fun to be out there with them, it's not gonna be fun. But most people in paddle in general kind of have a good attitude on the court, so usually it works out.
Sure, it can make some of the travel to those tournaments tougher if you're going and know you might not have fun with your partner. So it makes sense you're going to want to enjoy the weekend when you're driving hours round trip for it.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
What is your favorite tournament, Dan? Or tournament? What are your favorite tournaments?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Um, let's see. I usually enjoy tournaments where the food is really good. Um, that always like makes me, oh, that was a great tournament. The food was awesome, and just like how everything was awesome. Uh, and I didn't play it last year, and I don't remember if I saw it on the calendar or not. But the Bourbon Bowl in Louisville was super awesome. I played that a couple times, and it was really fun.
We talked about that with Tyler because he was involved in putting it together, and he said that's the one thing we wanted. We really wanted to concentrate on having first class food and making it a little bit different. So that's interesting that you mentioned that tournament.
Mission accomplished, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And then you know, some of like the smaller tournaments are pretty fun. It's just uh they can get like good crowds that are really into it still. I enjoyed like Cleveland last year was a good tournament. But like any tournament, I always enjoy it actually. It's most of them are ran well and you know it's always fun. So yeah.
Yeah,
Sean,
I'm saying I'm thinking I should have married somebody that played paddle because I dragged my wife along, but you don't have to worry about your wife loves paddle, so you're golden.
Yes, it definitely helps. Um, so I like playing more tournaments than she does. So that's the only kind of not down. It's not even a downside, but that's the only difference between us, at least. She's good for maybe like 6 to 8 tournaments a year. I'm good for 15 or something. But yeah, we'll travel to tournaments together, which just makes it super fun because then we're there together. We're staying the weekend together, and yeah, it's just fun traveling with her. Um, so and also then she kind of understands the traveling for tournaments more. She's like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. You love paddle and kind of understands loving the competition, whereas someone who's not involved in racket sports or uh, understands that might not get it really.
Yeah.
Um, and then to add to that, her dad has been a pro his whole life and in teaching pro in tennis and coached at a very high level and then playing paddle tournaments for her whole life. So she kind of see, oh yeah, yep,
This is
my
the way this
dad
is
went and
normal.
this
This is
is
normal.
normal. This is normal, exactly. Yeah,
Um, so Montclair opened up today registration. You're playing in the Montclair Open?
I am. Yep. I'm gonna be playing that with Gonzalo actually.
Sweet.
Uh,
great.
yeah, so that'll be a fun tournament. Looking forward to it. Um,
Hopefully we'll
yeah,
get to watch you play, yeah.
Um,
Sean, just before
yeah,
we
yeah,
go
go
into
ahead.
kind of some of the pro results and the matches that you've played in the past few years, just in terms of like what leagues have you played in, non-professional leagues? Like have you played in, and like I know you probably played in the Summer Pro League, but have you played in the Connecticut League or any other state leagues, up in the Northeast?
yeah. Right. Yeah, I've played the summer league. That's always good. Near and then for me up here we have the Greater Hartford Paddle Tennis League, um, and that's our team. The clubs are further away up this way than they are in Fairfield County.
Yeah.
So we play each team twice a year, and then there's playoffs at the end. So like our team is the Stone Como, uh, and I think there's maybe 5 other clubs, like all the way up to Longmeadow, Mass, which is an hour and 20 minutes away.
By Springfield.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Isn't it is was John Hughes out of that area?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. He's at a Longmeadow. So is Jeff
Yep.
Um,
Providence guy, by the way, Dan.
uh huh.
Uh,
Oh, who?
Morneau played tennis at Providence. He was
Oh,
there
okay.
when I was there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Is that league the Greater Hartford League? Does that have different divisions in it, or is it just kind of one team?
There are actually different divisions in that. I'm less involved in like the in the other divisions, I guess. For me, I kind of like, oh, we have a match. Like Jerry runs that team, and we have a Division I and Division II team out of the Stonington Como,
Nice.
and he runs it. So he basically just says, he sends out a text or email for when our matches are. And, okay, who can we get? So I don't follow like the schedule as much with that. But it's a pretty good league. There's some solid players in it. Yeah, it's a bit of traveling sometimes for it, which I'm not averse to, because I do travel a lot for practice matches as well. But yeah, it's similar to other leagues, just kind of maybe matches are more spaced out. It's not a standard night of the week every week, and got to travel a bit. So yeah.
No, I'd just like to kind of anyone we have on talk about the different states paddle leagues so that anyone can kind of listen and see how they differ and whatnot. But I just love hearing about everyone's because it's just fun how they do it. How everyone else does it.
Yeah, and again, just our downside is we're more dispersed. We don't have clubs like right on top of each other. From the Como, like there's the closest club to us would be the Essex Paddle Tennis Club, which is probably 25 minutes away in Essex, Connecticut. And then we've got like Hartford Golf Club is the other one, which is like an hour away. So
yeah.
So that raises the question, obviously you just said it's very different in terms of density. New Jersey is fairly dense, maybe not as much as, Westchester or southwestern Connecticut. But like a big part of the state league matches is having beers afterwards, right? And hang out in the hut.
yeah.
How does that work when it's, 10:30 at night and you got to drive an hour and a half back?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Like we do bring drinks, and if it's late, for me it depends what I have going on. Um, if I feel like I need to get home early, but yeah, like we'll have kind of drinks afterwards, but maybe not so much of a production of it, I guess. No, like real food, I guess. But just because the traveling for the league is a lot, and doesn't happen as frequently. We have our individual, we call it league night on Thursday nights at our club, and it's just set up matches between people at our club, just members at our club, and it changes every week. It's not like a team versus team thing, but it's league night and matches are set up, and you play for an hour and a half, and then you sit and have a beer. So that's kind of our, at our club there, that's the night to socialize and hang out afterwards as well. And we got like different times for that, matches from like 5 to 6:30, 6:30 to 8. And then if we're pretty full, we got the late guys, 8 to 9:30. But I try to stay on the earlier side.
I'm sure you get your fill of partying in and the other matches or business trips.
Right, exactly.
Does Jerry make sure he's on the other side of the court from you in these interclub
Usually,
matches? Yeah.
Yeah, if usually, yeah. We're the two of us were probably the top two players, at the club. So when we play those Thursday night league matches, yeah, we're usually on opposite sides.
Yeah.
But we can get a pretty competitive match at our club. It's just is everyone available, and that's kind of the tougher part. And then it's kind of the same people as well. So that's why it's good to travel
for sure.
Paddle.
What In terms of your matches, and what were your favorite or most memorable matches, or and maybe the ones that were kind of tough to swallow?
Yeah. I'll go the favorite, most memorable ones first, because that's more fun for me. Um, no, I had a really good run at Montclair 2 years ago with Dan Wright.
I s-
Um,
Yep.
and we beat Chris Humphreys and Felipe Osis Koenig in the quarters, and then beat Martin Bostrom and Jared Palmer in the semis. So that was both those wins were very memorable and exciting. Um, and then the other one would be, I guess, right before that, at the end of this previous season, I won the Indianapolis Open with Dan Hirsch. And that was definitely my biggest tournament win. Um, and, we had like four tough matches in the round of 16, quarters, semis, and, going up to the finals. And Graham, we beat Graham McNerney and Thomas Nolan in the finals there. However, with a little asterisk, Graham had an elbow issue where it was bothering him to drive any ball. And after winning the first set, we won the first set 6-2, and then he ended up retiring. Uh, so a little bit of an asterisk, but big win anyways, and that was an exciting tournament to win. Uh, but those are probably my most memorable.
That's funny that you say that, though. Just looking at our notes for the podcast here, and it's funny, Sean earlier pulled out a quote from maybe a high school article that you had, but under notable matches here, Indian 2023 beat Graham and Nolan 2-0 with Hirsch. So now we're finding out about the asterisk. And then under that is Montclair with Wright beat Humphreys and Felipe, and then Martin and Jared. So
Yeah,
We do our research here, Dan. We
I
do.
like it. That's great.
So wait, before you go on,
Yeah.
and Wright plays, I think, at a Park Lake. So my club, he's come down to my club. I've watched him play. Montclair, I'm pretty sure because I saw Martin and Jared actually play probably in the back draw, or maybe it was before they played you. First of all, it was raining that entire weekend.
It was raining on this Saturday.
Saturday.
The Sunday was not raining.
I watched Martin and Jared play.
They
Gabe,
played Gabe and Yancey.
yeah, and it was an intense match. Was that the match
Yes.
before you guys beat them?
Yes, that was the match before that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a quarterfinal match, and then we played them in the semis.
nice. That's a great win.
Yeah. Thank you. Unmemorable matches, because you asked, and I got to think of some. I'll probably try to just, push them in the back of my mind. And it's basically like losing earlier than we should in a tournament is like, oh, that was a tough pill to swallow. And I'll say like the Fairfield Open this past year in January, we lost to they're a great team actually, and both very good players. We lost to Pavle Jefferson and Ned Mandel, and they played a great match. And as they beat us, but I was like, that's a tough one to swallow, just because we lost before we were supposed to.
yeah.
So that's always disappointing when that happens.
Ned plays with Lucas a lot. Lucas.
Yeah, he does. Yep.
Yeah. Just and so I bring them up because JK and Lucas are in our backyard, and we actually JK will actually play with me even though I'm a 45 PTI, and you don't get many opportunities for that. But well, the other match that I had put down here, and sometimes I transpose digits, but you played McNerney and Morgan really tough in Short Hills last year.
Yeah. We did. That was a good match. both Dan Hirsch and I, we like to we both kind of feel comfortable and like playing Graham actually. Graham and Dan both lived in Chicago, or not Chicago, I'm sorry, Pittsburgh, for a couple years, and so they played a lot together there. And so Dan is very comfortable with Graham's game. And so we played them tight. We were actually up 5-0 in the second set and lost it 7-6 with multiple set points there. But yeah, it was a long match. Yeah, that's also kind of a tough pill to swallow one for a different reason. Actually, you know what? I'll bring up another match as well that I played 2 seasons ago. Yeah, not last season. I played Chicago Charities with Sven Burris, and I think we were the 6th seed in it, and we lost in the round of 16 to these two random players who were Guillermo Nunez and Jose Salazar.
Two nobodies.
Did you honestly not know who they were, or did
I knew who Jose was, and I knew he was like solid, but he definitely hadn't broken out with any great wins. I think I played him in a summer league match the summer before, and he was solid, but I wasn't scared of him or anything. I was like, yeah, we'll win this. I went into that with full confidence we were winning that match. Oh, great. And Guillermo Nunez, I had never heard of before that match, before Chicago Charities. And they beat us like 3-4, something like that. And it felt like a bad loss. But of course it isn't. Then the next round they beat Chris and Felipe. And I think they lost in the semis of that tournament. But
wow.
Pretty quickly it became, oh yeah, they're really good. So yeah, that was a funny one.
Well, Luke, do you have any other questions?
So yeah, if you want to say anything else, we can kind of head to the kind of rapid fire ones at the end if you want to start that. But if there's any other matches you want to touch on before then.
No. And Dan's prepping for his fantasy draft tonight.
So.
I am actually. Yeah, I had a fantasy draft last night. I have another one tonight. Yeah, I'm all prepped though, so no worries. All good.
Yeah. So I'll just start these off and just kind of, just fire off. So what racket are you currently playing with, just to kind of start off?
Like paddle?
Yeah.
Master. The Master M Pro, sticking with the red and black one from that came out a couple years ago. I like it.
Awesome.
It's good.
And then, I think every paddle player knows this, but, the game is brutal on shoes. And, what shoes do you currently wear? And have you kind of found a system of, rotating them, or how do you keep it fresh and not going through a pair every 2 weeks?
I actually, Masters gave me a pair of shoes, K-Swiss Masters. So those are good. But typically I wear Mizuno shoes. I order them off Tennis Warehouse. They have a 6-month durability guarantee.
Yep.
During the season, I'll go through it in 3 weeks and send it back and get another pair. In the off season, it'll last longer when I'm not playing as much paddle. But yeah, I like the Mizuno shoes. That's typically what I'll use.
Yeah, I think figuring out the best warranties is a good way of doing it when you're playing a lot of paddle.
Yeah.
And then favorite court/hut setup. If you're choosing your home court, give us another one. Give a shout out to another place that you like playing also.
Favorite hut. That's a tough one. I'll say any hut that has a lot of windows and a lot of seating to allow for the watch or to watch paddle well. That's what makes a good hut, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on this earlier. Mentioned a few names, I think what Pete Harvey, and then obviously your future father-in-law, but anyone else you kind of want to give a shout out to for helping you, with your development, kind of introducing you to paddle and helping you get started with the game?
Yeah. So those three guys kind of helped me get into it and improve my game a lot. Yeah, Jerry, Pete, and Nick. And then I played a few years actually with Mike Cochran, and he was awesome in me learning the game as well. He's a big name in paddle. He's won that nationals before as well. Um, and just playing with him and I just learned so much playing with him for 2 years. So
Yeah.
that was good. He's definitely got to give a shout out to Mike Cochran.
Love that. Yeah, no, we always say like being the worst player on the court, the fourth best guy is kind of the quickest way to get better when you first start. So got to give
100%.
where needed. And then over the next year, kind of one tournament or match that you're kind of most determined to win. Could be a local tournament or nationals, whatever you kind of have circled on the calendar.
Oof, that's a tough one. I think I know like the five. I might have like five circled in the fall that I'll
Love
play. Maybe more, we'll see. And I haven't really looked past the fall season yet. But yeah, just trying to do as well as I can and keep improving and going further in all the tournaments. Yeah, so nothing specific, but yeah,
just overall success.
Yeah.
And then this one just kind of to give people a little background on your racket. So I guess rank and order, which sports you play the most to least: paddle tennis, padel, pickleball, and then actual tennis.
I play the most paddle tennis for sure.
Love that.
Then tennis in actually this off season I probably played an even amount of pickleball and tennis. And I don't really play either of them during the paddle season. And then padel courts just went in about 15 minutes from me a month ago, so I've played that a few times, but not as much as the other two. I anticipate next year I'll probably play, paddle tennis way more than all the others, but I'll probably play more padel and tennis next spring, summer at least.
Very cool. Then your favorite / most impressive paddle player for you to watch can be a current pro, can be someone that you've seen videos of or grew up watching, but who kind of impresses you and you look to for inspiration or to just to watch what they do.
Other than Jerry Albrights.
Yeah, other than your father-in-law.
Other than Jerry Albrights. I always liked Johan whenever he was on the stream and everything. I like watching him. But I also kind of admire watching Graham play. That's probably, they're kind of two opposites, and I probably like watching them for different reasons. Johan, you're like, wow, that was an amazing shot. That was crazy. Look at that. Look what he just did, and Graham, I like watching, kind of for the opposite reason of just like, I think he's got a great paddle mind and, I like talking to him and just about paddle and watching him play too. Yeah. So
like an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask your favorite female pro to watch too. I think that your recent fiance would probably be angry if you said anyone but her, but
yeah, she's the only female pro I love watching also. So.
That's smart. And then one pet peeve on court, maybe somebody not saying the score.
I've got a big pet peeve when I have to ask for lobs in the warm up.
I completely agree.
It happens sometimes, and I'm like, what is going on? But when people will drive, and when this happens, I try to hit balls that no one would ever hit drives at all.
Yep.
On the type of shot, and they still try to hit a drive and usually miss it. Like they'll try to flick it and only hit like a drive. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's just one little pet peeve I have on the court when I have to ask for lobs.
That happens all the time at my level.
That's
It
my
does.
favorite ever answer to that question, I would say, because I completely agree. I've gotten to arguments with my brother about this recently too, but everything should be lobbed in warm-ups. I completely agree.
I mean, not everything, right? Like, I think,
But,
do a mix. Like,
yeah,
they're more than welcome to hit drives, but
yeah,
don't do only drives.
yeah.
Like, come on.
But that I haven't mentioned my pet peeve, but it's similar in that it's warm up related. There, there's a guy I play with a lot, and he'll be at net, and I'll be driving the ball, and he like drops it, and I understand that he's getting a warm up too, right at net,
Mhm.
but I like we got to start all over again for me to get another drive.
Right.
It's like
I agree with that. I'll probably do that in like once I'm ready to go back, I'll end with a cut drop
right,
shot.
yeah, yeah.
That's when I do that, but I won't do that like repeatedly.
Well, he can't do your cut drop either, too. So anyway.
Yeah. Then just a few more here. What's one thing in your paddle bag that might surprise people?
What do I have in my paddle bag? It's always ready to go during the season.
Yeah.
I keep like everything I'll need. Advil, like deodorant, like there's always an extra set of everything in my paddle bag all ready to go, except for clothes, which I'll pack, the day before, night before, or morning of. I got nothing too crazy in my
I
paddle
like
bag.
it. We'll say the Advil. That can
Sure,
keep it
yeah.
going. And then, if you were to have a walkout song, what would that be?
Uh, I
Put
don't.
you on the spot here now.
It is putting me on the spot, and actually, a song came to mind, and it was "Eye of the Tiger," and I don't know why.
I mean,
Uh,
what song gets people more pumped than that? I mean,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't know why that came to mind. I don't know the last time I've listened to that song or even thought about it, but it just came to mind when you mentioned walkout songs. So I guess that must be it.
Love it.
and then the final one, just dream pairing for you to play in a tournament with. You can go past or present too, and I would say, aside from Jerry, who would be a dream pairing both in your primes be to play a tournament with?
And his fiance.
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
men's tournament.
First would be, Olivia and then Jerry. And I've played tournaments with both of them. So, but anyway, past or present. Probably Johan. I think that would be exciting to play with. Just
Let's get that match set up for this year. You guys play some exhibition or something. I think people would want to watch that.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if I can get that out.
Love it. Well, yeah, that's pretty much all the rapid fire I have for him, Sean. If you have anything else before we wrap it up.
I don't. Dan, thank you so much. This was great, and I really appreciate you hopping on and giving us your paddle story.
Yeah, of course. I actually have one more because I heard you talk about it on other episodes, and I'm just realizing that we didn't talk about it all. But the speed of the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And you're a guy that can end a point, so yeah, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Well, before you go on, right? We just to touch on for people that might not have seen, but for the Pro Tour this year, right? They're doing no ad scoring.
Yep. Saw
And
that.
I wasn't familiar. Is it returner's choice, server's choice? Are you sure?
Server's choice.
Servers?
Yes. So that's interesting. I don't know how much it'll speed up the game. Theoretically it should because there's no more deuces, but those points are probably going to be played much more conservatively.
Yeah.
So it
So the point now might take 2 or 3 times as long as
maybe, yeah. I'm of the opinion also that I don't think playing a 5-hour match is an issue, but I do understand that it is an issue for like tournament directors and people organizing things and logistics. So I get that. There's a lot of talk out there saying that playing with like a more dead ball or a ball that bounces less will speed up the game. And I think that will actually do the opposite. I think it will slow down the game even more because the ball's going to be moving less. So it'll be yeah, it might die on a low ball in the screens more, but like it's going to create less offense for people in the back court because it's not flying off the screens as much.
Yeah.
And so it's just going to become a more defensive game, I think. And I think to speed up the game, yeah, actually a more livelier ball would help. Just because it's just more movement and yeah, like think about Padel. That's fast, it's dynamic.
Yeah.
They don't have the same you know length of points as you do in paddle tennis. Um, so I think a more dynamic ball would actually speed up the game if that was the goal.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's kind of a zag from, the other people we've talked to
Yeah.
who have talked about the dead ball. And I kind of think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. If the ball's flying, spinning, the spin is crazy. If it's flying out of the corners, that will lead to more baseline drives and obviously more, stuff you guys can do at the net to put points away.
right. Yeah, I just think it's a dead ball would actually make it more difficult to put away. You're not everyone's understands exactly how the ball is moving, so you're not going to really fool anybody on like, they're just going to get lower for the ball or
Yeah,
whatever.
get closer to it. Yeah.
Um, and it'll spin less. So, like a cut drop shot, instead of spinning back in the net, is just going to kind of stay there and people would be able to run that down or similar, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think, no, I think that's a great idea. I think that with the new, NOAD, I think one, benefit of that or one, thing they weren't necessarily thinking of is just that it might lead to more upsets, in the game if, it's just a chance point, and that could be, refreshing for people to see, different teams getting through and just some different results every week, which could be fun and, just a different little wrinkle for the tour this year.
yeah, that's possible. And I agree. I think NOAD kind of, yeah, at least
Team
helps
is not going to win as
upsets a
many of
little
the,
bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a different spin. See what I did there?
Yes. Yeah.
Unique spin on and off the court.
And you know what? That's a far easier change than messing with the court size of the nets or anything else. I mean, how are you going to implement that across the country on every single
Yeah,
court?
retroactively.
100%. Yeah. And people have talked, changed in the court, right? Like, sure, it would change the game a lot, but that's not really feasible, right? So that's why everyone goes to, okay, let's change the ball and make it bounce less, right? That's the logical thing, but I actually think that's going to lengthen the game,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, so I do have one more question. Is Action Dan your nickname, or did Oliver Jones just W?
Oliver Jones just made that up on a comment on your video.
He
Yeah.
he had another great comment on your second video where you hit like the second one where you hit like 25 cutters in one match. He said something to the tune of welcome to Stonington, bitches. Have a great ride back. Classic.
Oh, I missed that comment.
Oh
That's too
yeah, it was
bad.
like welcome to Stonington, bitches.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was a fun match. I ended with a lot of cutters. I don't know what it was for the whole match, but in the first set it was 10 like cut winners.
and I mentioned like I haven't seen anyone else do this, but you're cutting on the ad side of the court as a lefty down
Mm-hmm.
the line, and it kicks to the wide. There's not much the guy can do on that one.
Yeah. It's a safe ball, right? I'm never going to get in trouble doing that, so that's why it's great to do in that direction.
Yeah,
Um, Whereas like if you're cutting, as a lefty going to the deuce side, like let's say you hit a backside spin overhead, right? If you miss your spot a little bit, that can create offense for the opponent. But in that way, if you miss your spot, they'll just get it back and lob it.
yeah. One more question.
Yes.
Just as I thought of it. As a lefty with as much spin as you have, is there anyone else out there that you watch to try, that has great spin that you try to, see what they're doing and incorporate it, or you think, they also
Yeah.
have great spin?
Actually, uh, one person I watched a lot when I was kind of learning more about like how to hit spin, and this is going back a few years, is Roman Stojcevljevic. I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly.
Who is he?
Oh, this is funny. You don't even know who he is.
I don't.
That's awesome. He's a pro at if I think he's still there at maybe Century Country Club in Westchester. He was Sven Burris's, or he played a number of years with Sven Burris. I think the last nationals he played was in Darien, but he did play it which was in 2020, right? But he didn't play a ton of tournaments that year. But anyway, he hit everything with lots of spin. I think he kind of stopped playing because he got frustrated with the game.
Okay.
Is what I heard. I
Yeah.
never, and he's I think he's got a family and everything. So, but actually, yeah, that's a guy who I watched a lot, and that overhead that you kind of talked about, where as a lefty, I cut it kind of across the court going to the ad side, and it actually goes to the right off the deck, but then the left off the screen. Roman was the first person I saw do that to make the ball bounce to the right as a lefty. He's lefty as well. And I just watched how he did it, and I was like, huh. And so I worked on trying to do that.
We're gonna need to scrape the interwebs to put up a Roman highlight. I'm not gonna announce his
he's
last.
out there. He was top 10 in the country. Like he was a very good player.
Wow.
But then stopped playing. So you can find him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. This was great.
Yeah. No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on the podcast. It was fun.
Yeah,
Pleasure meeting you. We'll definitely be, watching out for you this year in all your tournaments and keeping everyone updated with how it's going.
Yeah, great. Sounds good. Yeah, come say hi if you're at the same tournament as me.
I will. I'm playing in Montclair myself, so I'll
Awesome.
definitely come say hi.
Sounds good.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys. See ya.